The way I see it, a producer's responsibility is you're in charge of the show. You're in charge of making sure your host is ready to go, has all the information he needs. Book good guests that advance stories, right? Make sure you screen the calls and they're good calls. And that's pretty much it, making sure we have our finger on the pulse of what's going on. MS Broadcasting started it all. They were out of Indiana. You know, FAN was far simpler than what I'm doing right now. It was sports talk, okay? And you could do book report radio. They didn't know what worked in New York from a sports talk standpoint. We came in, they had all these sports shorts and features with guys like Chris Berman, and we're talking Nebraska Cornhuskers and Iowa Hawkeyes. Nobody in New York cared about college sports, and they still don't. So you got to play the hits. We didn't know that back then. They needed Mike Francesa and Chris Russo, a couple of New Yorkers, who knew the landscape, to come in afternoon drive. And those guys really knew how to drive the New York audience. And I learned a lot from both guys. When I got to Sirius satellite radio, we only had 250,000 subscribers. So it was a very different experience. And I didn't know if this was going to work or not. I just knew it was time for me to put my own stamp on programming. You know, I worked for good people at WFAN, but I wasn't able to put my philosophy in place in terms of building a radio station. We've created more expert sports talk radio as opposed to just throwing out opinions and being loud and all that. We want to bring people closer to the sport, make them bigger, better, wiser, smarter fans, so they enjoy the game more, they understand it more. And that's what we've been able to do with our various channels. First with the NFL channel when I came here after WFAN over 8 years ago. Every one of my shows, I wanted to make sure it had either a former player, coach, GM, or scout as a co-host. So when people called in, they got a true expert opinion from people who have been there and done that. You know, Peyton Manning gets signed by the Denver Broncos. Okay, if you're not getting Peyton on, get me somebody that's coaching him, get me somebody that's catching balls from him, get me somebody who is there that's going to tell me how he's throwing the ball and how he's fitting into the system. And that's how you advance the story. Launched the channel, and it's a really one of our top channels, especially during football season. It's doing great, and as you can see from the standing room only crowd here at the Hard Rock Cafe, they love fantasy football, and they're out here to support the draft, which is great.
Yeah, this is awesome. You know, I haven't been to New York for quite a while, and flew up here today to do a little fantasy drafting and have some fun.
I'm second.
Oh, so there we go.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, technically, I think I'm first because I'm right behind Maurice Jones-Drew. And I can bet some really good money that Maurice Jones-Drew is going to pick Maurice Jones-Drew for his first pick.
All right, let's go. Well, it's great because it's kind of like worlds collide. You got The Miz from the WWE. He's sitting next to Zakk Wylde, legendary guitarist, rock and roller. You got Jay Thomas and George Wendt up there. So it's the Cheers reunion. You got two great fantasy experts, and John Hansen and Scott Angle, and then you got Scotty Farrell up there. And of course, Rich Gannon, lifelong Raider fan, MVP. Got to have him up here hosting the draft with Adam Shine from our midday show. And you got Cavino and Rich, so you got a lot of different channels up here represented. Nick and Artie, of course, we just brought their show on, Artie Lang and Nick Apollo. They're just starting, they had their debut show here today. So it's great we're able to co-promote all of our shows